really the heart of my presidency was dedicated to advocacy. And I had in mind to raise even more the awareness of neuroscience and the results of our community and our scientific results towards the politicians and the policymakers.
We're always in competition, not only in the scientific field, but with all the rest of the activity in normal life. So you have to fight for that. You have to convince people. You have to do what is called today advocacy.
The European Brain Council is basically a lobby organization based in Brussels, and it represents all the societies and the patient organizations and companies in the field of neuroscience.
Fens realized that this could be a kind of ideal common platform for lobbying, because in that platform, in the European Brain Council, we were able to join forces with European neurologists organizations, European psychiatrists, neurosurgeons, representatives of drug companies, and also patient organizations, which was extremely important.
It's been extremely useful in, through this lobby, much more money was given to neuroscience research than in the earlier framework program.
And this is absolutely needed because brain research is the only discipline in which we need a continuous investment, because we still do not know completely how the brain is functioning. So it's a responsibility of scientists to try to learn better the functioning of the brain, also because we need to cure diseases.
One of the very, very useful documents that the European Brain Council, EBC, has produced is the cost of brain disorders in Europe. They calculated how much mental health, but also brain disorders in a more neurological area cost to the European society on an annual basis, and it's a staggering
800 billion. So this is a huge cost.
And that is 1.5 times more than the next most expensive diseases, which is cancer, cardiovascular disorders.
And the number of citizens that are affected by brain diseases is enormous.
Of course, it's a very broad field. It ranges from stroke to trauma to depression, Alzheimer, addiction, migraine. There's so many brain disorders, and they're very costly because usually people get it at an early age and they can live for many, many years with it.
Altogether, we decided to write a paper that was meant for policymakers. We call it the consensus document on brain research in Europe.
Compiling such a document and getting those facts has been immensely useful to convince politicians at the European but also national level that we should do something, because otherwise this really gets out of hand. Just apart from the cost, just the burden also on caregivers and on the patients themselves of brain disorders is immense.
The concept is not enough, because we know that in the last years there are many other activities of advocacy around the world, but very important and relevant in Asia, in the US, in China. So we decided a little bit to put an eye also towards internationally relevant advocacy activity.
And that's the role of the European Brain Council, to show that, to get the information, to convince politicians that something has to change.
That was the mainstream for my presidency, to strengthen even more neuroscience toward the policymakers and to link and to join a network with our global advocacy activities.